impossible to forget. Charlie hadn't gotten a look at the guy in the frog costume, but the memory of that menacing scar was enough of an incentive to keep Charlie's feet skidding against the pavement. Eyes wild with growing fear, Charlie skirted around a pair of German tourists, too busy babbling in German and gawking at the costumed pursuers to make a grab at Charlie. It was immediately obvious what was causing the clot of people, even at full speed. Charlie was awed by the scale alone of the architectural wonder in front of him. Almost 300 feet tall, Loopy's space station was a sci-fi movie set come to life, topped by a single crystal antenna rising impossibly high into the Florida sky. Its design represented everything the Incrediland amusement park was supposed to be: magnificent, whimsical, and utterly impractical. The large crowd was going to take at least half an hour to file through the arched tunnel feeding through the base of the space-age structure. Instead, Charlie cut sharply to his left, exiting the circular path. A minute later, he was crossing over a curved bridge, and it was like changing a television channel. Everything around him shifted from future Earth to the first stop on Loopy's journey through the planets. His sneakers kicked up meticulously designed clouds of reddish dust as he entered a section of the park known as Miraculous Mars at a breathless gallop. Directly ahead, he could see people lining up for the solar sailboat that would take them to the Mars Central Docking Station. Charlie's memory danced back to 3 years ago, when he'd thrown up on that boat. More specifically, he'd thrown up all over his dad, right as the boat ride ended. At least Charlie's parents had had the decency to buy him ice cream when he'd finally recovered from the trauma of barfing on a ride designed for children half his age. But his parents weren't around to help him this time. His dad and mom were 500 miles away, enjoying a leisurely November afternoon in what was probably the quietest suburban corner of Massachusetts. Maybe his dad was outside raking leaves, the cold moisture in the air fogging up his glasses. Maybe his mother was reading a book in her study, something scientific and complex, with a title Charlie wouldn't even dare try to pronounce. For the first time in his life, Charlie's parents weren't going to be there to catch him if he fell. Looking back over his shoulder at those menacing giant ears bouncing over the curved bridge that connected the end of the Solar Avenue to Miraculous Mars, Charlie knew there were things a whole lot worse than vomiting on his dad on a fake sailboat. Charlie made another hard turn before he reached the Hall of Aliens, a terrifying place full of angry-looking animatronic figures that seemed to have stepped right out of a horror movie. Now he was heading straight toward the Space Rock Carousel, which was exactly as it sounded, a revolving ride speckled with asteroid-shaped seats bounding beneath a canopy of near-seizure-inducing lights. For a brief second, Charlie thought about hopping the low railing of the carousel and trying to lose himself in the whirl of colored rocks. But he discarded the idea almost as quickly as it came. It was a matter of simple physics. Too many people in too small an area. If there was anything that Charlie knew well, it was simple physics. In fact, it had been simple physics that had gotten him into this mess in the first place. He continued forward, frantically searching for another option. His breaths had turned into gasps, and tight cramps spasmed up his calves. He wouldn't be able to go much farther. "Charlie?" a shout suddenly shot toward him from ahead. "Charlie Numbers?" "Holy smokes!" another voice close to the first rang out. "That is Charlie!" Charlie skidded to a stop. He quickly picked out a shock of thick, dark hair near the end of the line leading up to the carousel. Heck, Dylan Wigglesworth would have been easy to spot even if Charlie hadn't known him since kindergarten. Not just because of that hair piled above his oversized head like an angry storm cloud. For a sixth grader, Dylan was freakishly big all over. Mountainous shoulders jutting out of a sleeveless white tank top. Hands that were more like a Great Dane's paws. And a chin and neck that seemed to blend into one single body part. Charlie knew that the way he saw Dylan was colored by the fact that Dylan and his buddies had been tormenting Charlie for as long as he could remember. Dylan had one hand on the shoulder of his ever-present co-thug, Liam Anthony, and the other hand in front of him clutching a rapidly melting ice cream cone. Dusty Bickle, the third wheel of their malevolent bully tricycle, was never far behind the duo.